Leonardo DiCaprio's tragic flaw is that no one sees him as a helpless victim, because he is flawless. Nobody will ever forget the picture-perfect face on the Titanic poster, the faultless career lasting over 30 years, or the actor who elevates every part to a masterpiece. The silent suffering under all that flawlessness, a scar from childhood that no amount of money can ever heal, goes unnoticed. He gives his everything to his roles because, for him, being on set is the only way to escape the stresses of real life. In South Africa, a diving cage was attacked by a big white shark, almost killing the man who had previously gotten the whole Oscar crowd to stand after 22 years of waiting. Had to endure seeing his brother become a fugitive after being smashed in the face with a bottle by an unknown individual. He needed 17 stitches. Even more brutal than the fictional characters he has perfected is the real world outside the screen. As the greatest artist of his time approaches his 51st year on our planet, a nagging concern lingers behind his visage. Even though he has all the material possessions a man could ever want, how come he still can't find the one thing that billions of regular people have? A calm home? Neighbors referred to his childhood area as Needle Alley. He was only a year old when his parents split up. During the bombings of World War II, his grandma was born in a bomb shelter. To send her son to a better school, his mother would drive 3 hours daily on some of Los Angeles' longest roadways. The man who everyone on Earth envies has never tied the knot or started a family, and he's 51 years old. His obsessive-compulsive disorder has been a silent companion for the majority of his adult years. Despite receiving criticism for his private aircraft and yachts, he has donated over $100 million to environmental causes. On every list that the world compiles, his name appears. On lists that few are willing to publicly reveal, you'll find the wealthiest, most talented, and most powerful people in the world. The most mysterious, enigmatic, and lonely. Perhaps the hardest armor forged from a broken upbringing, honed throughout every position, and held taut by discipline, is the flawless person we see before our eyes. If you want to know who the actual Leonardo is before we uncover the mythology, subscribe to the channel and give him a like. Even before Titanic and the Academy Awards, there was a young couple fighting for their lives in the depths of poverty. The half-Italian, half-German George DiCaprio was an underground comic book artist. He was born to Hermeline Indenberg, a legal secretary from Germany, in a bomb shelter in 1943, while the country was under Allied bombing. While in Florence, on her honeymoon with George, she paused at the Ui Gallery to see a picture by Leonardo da Vinci. And just then, the unborn child kicked vigorously. Tragically, the couple named their newborn after the Renaissance genius as they stood in front of his masterwork. Hollywood, Los Angeles, California, is the site of Leonardo Wilhelm DiCaprio's birth on November 11, 1974. A family on the brink of collapse, with only one child. There was a divorce between George and Hermeline when Leo was just a year old. However, they refrained from making the split a battleground. So that the little child could run freely between the two houses, they decided to purchase them side by side and share the backyard. That picture makes me sad and happy all at the same time. A father and a mother who love their son deeply, but who are unable to commit to one another. In a 1994 interview with Interview magazine, Leo stated that he really liked it that way since he could interact with two other universes. Even as a young boy, he had mastered the discipline of finding meaning in emptiness, a talent he would one day apply to film, transforming the suffering of his characters into works of beauty. Merlin was his guardian, believed in him, and nurtured him. To provide her son an education that his family could never have afforded, Merlin would drive her son 3 hours each way daily from a low-income East Side Los Angeles neighborhood to John Marshall High School, and then onto the Los Angeles Center for Enriched Studies. I did not grow up in an affluent life. I grew up in a very difficult neighborhood on the east side of Los Angeles. This woman drove 3 hours every day to show me a different opportunity. Today is my mother's birthday. Mom, happy birthday. I love you so much. Leo demonstrated his devotion by bringing her to the Oscars, the Golden Globes, and the BAFTAs, among other important events, on February 14, 2016. Yet she was far from the only woman who left an impression on him. Odessa, Ukraine was the site of his grandmother Helen Hindenburg's 1915 birth. Stefan Petrovich Smirnov and Arena escaped to Germany with their 2-year-old daughter in 1917 as the Bolshevik Revolution erupted. 2 world wars did not destroy this remarkable woman. After telling her that my grandma is Russian, Leo summoned her to the 1997 premiere of Titanic and the 2002 premiere of Gangs of New York. She personifies wholeness and resilience, in my view. She had to endure hardship, conflict, and migration. When school every day, Aaron accompanied Leo to auditions when he announced he wanted to be an actor when he was around 12 years old. Many tryouts, lots of turns down. A talent agent saw the scrawny child with the Italian surname that was hard to pronounce and suggested he alter his name to Lenny Williams so he would be more marketable. "No," Leo said. The 12-year-old from Needle Alley, who lacked resources and social connections, yet with the courage to uphold the name bestowed upon him by his parents, stood before the Da Vinci masterpiece in Florence. A few small parts in Parenthood in 1990, Santa Barbara the following year on the soap opera, Growing Pains from 1991 to 1992, and his first film, a low-budget horror flick called Critters 3, in 1991. Every tryout was a shot in the dark. Each part he played was a whispered vow to himself that he would never feel like a failure there in that dilapidated house again. Acting was more than a hobby. There was a focus on staying alive. The 1993 film What's Eating Gilbert Grape starred an 18-year-old Leonardo DiCaprio as Ari Grape, co-starring the already established Johnny Depp, directed by Lasse Hallström. Ari was a young lad who struggled intellectually, not the protagonist, nor the one the screenplay revolved around. But Leo elevated that tiny part to the level of story's emotional core. He was not convincing as a crippled character. Within that youngster, he vanished entirely. It was unbecoming of an 18-year-old actor to portray such genuine emotions, from off-center gazes to continual wiggling of the fingers, from unexpected laughing to moments of terror. Later in life, Johnny Depp acknowledged that he had an epiphany when collaborating with Leonardo DiCaprio on set. Leonardo had an instinctive gift for blending into a role to the point that the line between actor and role became blurry. As a result, Leo became one of the youngest Oscar nominees ever at the age of 19, receiving a Best Supporting Actor nod for the 66th Academy Awards on March 21, 1994. He was unsuccessful. Hollywood had permanently imprinted Leonardo DiCaprio's name, but the trophy that night went to Tommy Lee Jones for The Fugitive. Even if he entered the casting room unprepared, the young man from Needle Alley left with an invitation to join a whole industry. There was a spike that started 3 years later. Leo was cast as Romeo in the 1996 film adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, directed by Baz Luhrmann of Australia. The film succeeded in making Shakespeare accessible to the MTV generation. Countless adolescent girls' bedroom walls bore the visage of Leo as he graced teen magazine covers across the globe. There was more to the role than meets the eye. No actor, even at the tender age of 21, should have possessed the raw and genuine energy that Leo brought to Romeo. With an unscripted anguish, he sobbed over Juliet's lifeless body, and the whole auditorium went quiet, not because anybody was being polite, but because they were all gasping for air. While everyone was smitten with Leonardo DiCaprio, a tsunami was on the way. James Cameron cast him as Jack Dawson in the 1997 romantic epic Titanic, which studios declared a financial disaster before any tickets were sold, due to the astronomical budget that had risen. No one thought the film would be a success. As a little-known fact, Cameron wanted Leo to try out, but Leo turned him down since he didn't think he needed to prove himself. The 22-year-old was so sure of himself that he came across as conceited, but Cameron told him that he would lose out on the role unless he auditioned. It was more of a casting call than a tribute session. Go home if you can't read the lines. Everyone in the room knew that Jack Dawson had found his owner the second Leo opened his mouth after reading the lines. The debut of Titanic on December 19, 1997, set a new standard for cultural impact in the history of cinema. $2 billion at the box office worldwide. At the 70th Academy Awards on March 23, 1998, the film won 11 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director, making it the highest-grossing film of all time at the time. Leo became the world's most renowned face while he was only 23 years old. The phenomenon was dubbed Leomania by the press. Outside theaters, thousands of teenage females passed out. The anonymity he had enjoyed suddenly evaporated as his name was yelled out throughout the globe. Leo glanced in the mirror and saw something even more terrible than failure among the fame storm that any 23-year-old star would drown in. This stardom could consume him, transforming him into the ship's beau romantic Jack Dawson rather than a genuine artist. The rapid ascent to stardom was risky, in the same way that nobody thought the Titanic